True review here with the last part of the one-liners top 10 special. This time, in counter to the best one-liners, we'll be looking at some of the most pathetic that have ever been uttered. These may not be the worst lines ever said, but some of the worst lines that are supposed to have clout or force behind them, or are supposed to be funny, meaningful, threatening, or any other characteristic that completely fails at achieving their end goals. So here goes. Alec Mason from Red Faction Guerrilla. Opening this time with one of my favourite games, Mason is a miner that's caught up in the rebellion against the EDF and unwittingly becomes a symbol of resistance against the foreign occupation. Despite being such a noble symbol for the people of Mars, he does however manage to put out a crap line or two. After hearing Sam's notion of employing the Marauders' help, Alex decides to voice his opinion of them with one of the most predictable and cliché lines used in media.
The Marauders are a pack of wild dogs.
Aw man, well put, buddy! And highly original, I've got to say.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Phoenix writes Ace Attorney. This legal novice thinks he's the dog's danglies, making evidence appear out of nowhere and suddenly revealing facts about certain people that were not known before. The fact that he's so f***ing good makes it even more annoying when he tries to challenge everything someone says every few seconds, and so the phrase, objection, makes it on this list. I call my new witness... Objection! Ugh, of course you object. You've been objecting to everything I've said so far during this case. You object so much in fact that no one is really taking you seriously anymore. Now sit down. Objection overruled.
And hold on tight, cause it's gonna be wilder than any 8-second ride.
The Vizier from Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. While I'm not having a go at the game itself, because it kicks ass, there is one line found near the end of the game that I clearly don't understand. The game ends in a battle against the Vizier, which is really set at the start of the game, but after you've effectively defeated him, you get another cutscene. During this cutscene, the Vizier appears to be defeated, but then goes on to make more threats, such as killing Farah once he's done with you. You then immediately go back to playing the game, but the Vizier does nothing in the way of trying to kill you. In fact, he just stands there. Now, I might be wrong in saying this, but if you're going to threaten someone, then you best be prepared to back up that statement, and not just stand there as someone with a sword comes running at you. Had he fought back, then this wouldn't have made it on this list. But because he does absolutely nothing at all, it invalidates his threats and makes them seem both pointless and pathetic.
Do you have any last words you wish me to communicate to the princess before I kill her? Words of love, perhaps?
Goodman.
James Sunderland Montage. Well, okay, this isn't really Montage. But you have to admit that this guy comes out with some fucking stupid stuff. Mary, I love you, but I hate you, and I'm, spoiler alert, gonna kill you.
This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there and eat pizza?
But the number one bit that really makes this guy appear like a real fucking idiot is the part right before you fight Eddie.
From now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill him! Just like that.
Eddie, have you gone nuts?
Eddie's told you that he'll kill anyone who insults him, but I guess that warning has gone straight into James's ear and out the other. This guy's pathetic, and don't get me wrong, Silent Hill 2 is a fantastic game, but do you know what, Eddie? I hope you do kill him. Hero failed at life in Daikatana! Well, if Hero fails at life, then this game fails at being entertaining. The 2000 release of an abortion of a game quickly pissed off many id fans, despite the fact that it wasn't created by id. It was actually created by one of its producers, John Romero. Romero is famously known for being the co-producer of the original Doom and Quake games, and so this one was set to break both of them, but instead, it just broke our hearts. And our sanity. But whenever the main character of the game, that being Hiro Miyamoto, dies, you get a little line that tells you how much you suck at this game. In one case, the line, "Hero failed at life," appears. I just can't believe that. This game was a complete and utter fail, so it's ironic that I apparently fail at this game. I suppose the only way that you cannot fail at it, and really succeed in this game, is to just simply not play it ever. Your life will be better off that way.
And my wife is dead.
I'm sorry to hear that.
High five!
A battle cry uttered by Albert Wesker in the Resident Evil 5 game, this part happens at the end of the game in the middle of an active volcano. You play the part of Chris Redfield as you take down Wesker whilst trying to keep an eye on your partner Sheva by giving her covering fire. Having been a thorn in Wesker's side many times throughout this game, Wesker begins to get really angry at you and cries out, "Chris!" as a way of saying, "I'm coming for you." However, it's not the context of this line that I have issue with, it just happens to be what he said that I find pathetic. It just doesn't sound convincing when he shouts out an ordinary name. He should have shouted out Redfield or something like that, because that would have sounded better. Think about this sort of thing happening in films. When people shout out against a character, it's usually or even
This is Sparta!
which sounds much better. But how many times have you heard someone in a film or a game shout out at someone using their first name? It doesn't work. Ted! Gary! You get what I mean. Can I call you Grace? On Empire Earth 3. Do I really need to say any more on this one? Well, I'll give you a little background on it if you want. The third installment of this brilliantly thought out franchise was pointlessly dumbed down until we were left with a game that would make a child get bored after 5 minutes. All the complex and interesting parts of Empire Earth were thrown away when they made this one, and for some strange reason which I will never figure out, is why the acknowledgement phrases of each unit are completely f***ing retarded, and here's an example of one of these. After selecting a knight, or any other unit, but for this example I'm using the knight, you'll get an acknowledgement phrase which is not uncommon in RTS games. But most acknowledgement phrases are somewhere along the lines of "yes sir" or "awaiting your orders." But check this one out.
As you command, Grace. May I call you Grace?
No! You can't! I'll call you Cock if you call me Grace. A completely shit and pathetic attempt at being funny, and that's one of the main reasons why this game fails. Did you say nerd? Let's face it, this is a prime example of why we all hate Raiden. Why do we have to put up with this jerk? I want Snakebag. And it's shit like this that makes me say those nasty things about Raiden, who quite frankly is a very nice person, and I have no idea why all of you out there say all those horrible things about him. After breaking into the planter, Raiden's rookiness, if that is actually a word, kicks in almost straight away, and he is instantly unable to think of anything for himself. When he first comes across a computer terminal, Campbell contacts him to give him a tutorial on how to use it. He explains how each of them are all connected and how they are connected through nodes. Raiden, being the genius that he is, all of a sudden interrupts this all-important tutorial to ask possibly the dumbest question I've ever heard.
Did you say nerd?
Ah, not nerd, node.
Not nerd, node.
That's right, Campbell. Don't take shit from anyone. Wow, word spell check went mad when I wrote this one down. Possibly one of the most famous grammar mistakes ever made in a video game, this line was first uttered in the English translation of the Japanese game Zero Wing. After having their base invaded and conquered, the character, Katz, decides to let everyone know that they've been defeated by saying the infamous phrase. A fantastic example of a threat done badly. If I were one of those whose base now belonged to them, I'd be like, can you repeat that last bit? I'm still not sure what's going on. Couldn't he have said, your base is now under my control? But I suppose that's asking a lot from a cheap, poor translated version of a Japanese game. Almost as bad as Rayplay. My TenFoot on Empire Earth 3. Yep, another Empire Earth 3 nomination. And funny enough, this nomination goes to the knight who got mentioned earlier. After right-clicking on this guy and ordering him to attack an enemy, the reply you get from him is this. Drumroll please.
I might touch him with my 10-foot spear.
BAM! Damn son, you be all bad up in here! What a shit line. And what's with the pause? It's like he's suggesting an innuendo to the player. What, was he going to say, I might touch him with my 10-foot cock? That line was so pathetic as a threat. I bet this guy's great at parties. It's like he's saying f*** you to the screen. Well, you can f*** off then, and if I ever see you again, then I'll be forced to shove my 10-foot cricket bat up your ass. Take it, biatch. And if you want to be my biatch, then come visit me at the True Review website, and don't forget to check out the previous episodes of True Review. Stay tuned next time for the new series. Layers!
Let's see. Are you a boy or a girl? It's a boy. A boy. We've got a daughter, Catherine. A beautiful, healthy baby girl. Say what?